Shalom Saints, welcome to a chapter a day. So now we're going to go through Genesis chapter 1. It was quite interesting reading Genesis chapter 1, especially because I have read it so many times. I've listened to people preaching, but I never really sat down and thought about what was written in Genesis 1. And it just talks about the beginning, how God created everything. And some of the questions I had was, when it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, like in the beginning of what? Where was he before this beginning? What happened before Genesis chapter 1? And then it goes down and it also talks about that the earth was form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and that the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And this waters, it doesn't say they were created in Genesis 1. So where were the waters coming from? Where were they before? That's one of the questions that I had. And as it goes down to chapter 8, it talks about how God called the firmament heaven. So when it says he called the firmament heaven, is that like the same heaven that he spoke about in chapter 1, where he was saying that in the beginning God created heaven and the earth? So then why is now he calling the firmament heaven? Is it the same heaven, or there are two different heavens, or heaven means more than one thing? So that's one of the interesting questions that I had. And if you have the answers, please give us the answers in the comment section, because we would love to know. And as it also goes down, it talks about how God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. So we are assuming that's the sun and the moon. And then it talks about how God created the stars also. And then also God created like your birds, the whales and everything. And then as it goes down, he then says, let us make man in our own image, right? So then he says, let us make man in our own image. Let us, who's us? In our image and after our likeness, who's us, right? That's the question that I had. Who is he talking about? Who's us, right? And then God created all those things. And then he said that man should have dominion over everything. And then he said that in chapter 29, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And I feel like the lesson that I have learned, right, from reading Genesis 1, it is that God always brings you provision, right, before you enter a place. Where God has assigned you, where God assigns you, he will bring the resources that are necessary for you to be able to survive in that place. That is why God created the food first, and then he created people, right? From this, that's what we are learning, that he then made a person after he made all those herbs and all those trees. So then provision will then come before the assignment, before he places you in a certain place. I think that that is one lesson that I learned for myself. So if you do have questions that you have from Genesis 1, please write them in the comment section, or you have answers or interesting things that you discovered as you were writing Genesis 1, please do that. And thank you so much for watching. Let's meet on the next video, where we are now talking about chapter 2 and what I feel I have discovered from chapter 2.